Hey everybody, OGC Piper coming back. If you saw my last video, you know I'm turning that one off, came right into this video. This one is a special video that has been requested by several of my subscribers in the past, and it came about after going over the caption contest I just did on my Instagram. That I kind of hooked in with my blend share that I just did. The winner of that caption contest, Bone0305, we got to throw some comments back and forth, and it turns out he is a fellow musician like myself. And you know, we got to talking. He said you should put some of your stuff on your channel. You know, you should share some of that. And I don't want to infiltrate, you know, all music into something like this. This is my pipe channel. This is where I come to kick back with my family, my community, and enjoy pipes and everything like that, and talk about, you know, pipes, blends, or anything that you know, like minds would appreciate. So in having some dialogue with a fellow musician, you know, a lot of, you know, I've recently, you know, not too recently, but we went through some stuff, you know, in this, you know, past year, and for a while stopped writing a lot, and for a while I was not posting videos, and the reason for that is, you know, going through what I went through, I didn't want too much darkness to be imparted to either, so I needed to take some time to kind of recover and to get my bearings again. And after talking to him on you know, chatting back and forth with private messages, it was very it was very good for me to be able to talk to another fellow musician, because that was the last, you know, straw, the last kick in the seat I needed to finish what I started years ago. And that was, you know, years ago, in some of the darkest times I may have been through, I began writing. I've been expressing that in my music. I've been a musician for over 30 years now, and I've done a lot of things. Mostly as a performer. About 15 years as a worship leader, and I did some session work, things like that. And I've always tinkered around with writing, but never on like a, I'm going to start this project, here's my deadline kind of writing, just kind of as they came. So when I was in that place, and, you know, especially being in such a place, in such a point of kind of despair and everything, that was even while I was a worship leader, which kind of made it hard for me. I was kind of ashamed to be dealing with the things I was dealing with, but you know, we're all humans, and that kind of thing happens, unfortunately. And so I started writing, and it all just kind of came together for a while, and I decided I wanted to write a record, you know, that I could eventually record and just kind of release independently. I'm definitely not trying to, you know, chase one of those, you know, chase a big huge record deal or something like that, be one of those guys that's 40 years old still thinking he's a rock star or anything. That's not me at all. I really like music for the art form that it is, and that's what's kind of makes me sad about the way I see music going today. You know, when you flip on the radio, you seldom hear the things that you used to hear, you know, back long ago. When it was consistently good, you know, people poured their heart and their souls into it. Now it just seems like a cash crop, and that's not where I wanted to. That's not why I got into music at all. So, you know, being, you know, a worship leader, I never saw myself as you know, a writer of Christian music, but a Christian who's a writer of music, if that makes any sense. And you know, with some of the people in my circle there, that didn't really go over too well. And and kind of created some tensions. And my opinion of music knows no boundaries, whereas when you get into some parts, some people in the church and everything, they put a big division. But like the term secular, I don't agree with that division, because music to me is God breathed. There are some people that do some very bad things with it, but that doesn't change its origin. And when I write music, I write about things that are important to me, and so it kind of didn't work out for me in that setting for that reason, I think. And I'll go into a little bit of my background. At an early age, I grasped on to the music of Paul Simon and Garfunkel, and I've always been an old soul, always, as far as I can remember. And that created even some hard times when I, in my adolescence and everything, being an old soul. And that comes out in one of my songs. I'm not going to do that one today, because I got some things I need to work out with that one, where I talk about that kind of thing. The alienation, of the adolescents at the time that I was there. They didn't understand. They didn't respond to that, and that led to some complications in as far as my music path and everything. And now through all of this, I went all over the spectrum, looking for my sound, and to find myself where my heart and soul really didn't exist. And so I came back to my roots of acoustic folk style music, and I put elements of blues and jazz and things like that I've kind of picked up along the way. But yapping a little bit. Let me light my pipe again. I just realized I was holding a pipe in my hand that had went out a long time ago. But anyways, so I decided to finish this project, and I need to have an outlet for my music. So what I'm going to do is, I set up a Facebook page where I could kind of put some things out there, a separate channel, on YouTube when things start to roll out, that I can just kind of put out to make them accessible to you guys or anybody that wants to view that. So I'm going to put links in the description below. I'm going to do a little bit here on the channel, but I didn't want anybody thinking, oh, he's trying to make a music channel out of a pipe channel. I'm not trying to do that at all, but that is part of me, so there will be elements along the way. Every now and then I'll do that. And so anyways, I guess I'm going to, and I've been, I said in the last video, I kind of came out here. If you're just catching this one, you didn't catch the other one. I came out here into the woods, kind of away from the beaten path where I normally do my videos, and just to kind of have a change of scenery. Probably do a little bit of strumming, picking around, writing, and I've got everything almost done. I need to finish, dotting a few I's and crossing a few T's. I've made contact with a sound engineer that's going to help me get some recording done, and it's not going to be big, heavy studio work. It's going to be a little bit raw. I wanted my work in the studio, to kind of reflect a live performance. I know it can't totally 100% duplicate a live performance unless you hook up a recording console to a mixer board and get it all set. But I do want to put elements of that into the finished product. And anyways, before I yap on too much more, this is my newer one. This is a Seagull Artist. I have a soft spot for these seagulls, and I don't know why. This is, I think, the third or fifth one maybe that I've owned. This one I got, this was an artist, and I was able to get a deal on this one. This is, I've never owned one of the artists before. This is their top tier acoustic. They're handmade in Canada, and they, you know, kind of make these on a line with some of the more experienced luthiers, and it really comes out in the product. So if you're a guitarist and you're familiar with these, or maybe if you're not, you should probably check those out. They do a good job. So I've got a audio that I'm going to tack onto the end of this one, and that's got one of my songs on it. And that's one that I've got ready that I could do a quick recording. This is a room recording. There's some parts of it that I'm not really satisfied with, because it was me in a room with relatively flat acoustics with a voice and a guitar, and that's pretty much it. That's not much less than what some of my studio work is going to be. We are going to put other things in there. We are going to work with some studio effects, but it's just going to be a little bit lighter. But I'm not going to do that on this one, because if something happens to go wrong or I totally bolo it, I want to be able to, I was able to pre-record this song earlier today that I wanted to do, to make sure I got all the kinks worked out. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that after I play some. But I've been excuse me, a fingerstyle guitarist for a while now. You may notice in some of my videos I have short nails on this hand and I have long nails on this hand, and that's the reason why, so that I can fret with this hand and I can pick with these fingers over here. So when I think about going back into my childhood, when I first became just enthralled with music, and I got something crawling up my back here, enthralled with music, and just I'll tell you, I was the first song from the Paul Simon music that I grabbed onto, that was the final hook. Hook, line, and sinker I took it was when I heard the song American Tune. If you've ever heard that one, or if you haven't, go check it out. It's a timeless song. I would call that one of the greatest songs that has ever been written. I really enjoyed that. But I'm going to pick around a little bit. This is the one as part of that. When I first, and I can't remember, I was a preteen, at least maybe right at 13. I'm not sure, when I first decided to start getting into some of the fingerstyle, because I saw Paul Simon play that a lot, and I really liked that. So for the first few years, I was listening to a lot of his music, Paul Simon, Simon and Garfunkel. So I learned from their techniques and everything like that. So it's not that a lot of my fingerstyle, it's not just because I'm trying to copy that. It's just because that was my first teacher. I didn't really have anyone that sat down with me all those years to teach me. I kind of sat down by myself and taught myself everything, and I'm kind of glad it worked out that way, because it made it a little bit more personal for me. But I'm just gonna play through a little bit of this, and this is the one that I first learned fingerstyle picking patterns, and we'll see if anybody can name it. I'm pretty sure you can. It's a very popular song in the comments. So that is one that I play. I don't buy a guitar until I played that song on it, because I love that song so much. It's been with me for so many years, and I really enjoy playing around with it. And so many of his songs have wound up being bedtime songs for my daughter. She's getting ready to be 11 now, but at a very early age, she couldn't go to sleep without Dad playing and singing while she went to bed, and that was one of them, along with many others. And so with that, I'm about to close out and shut the camera off here and kind of do some writing and playing a little bit. So the song that's going to be tacked on the end is one that I actually wrote, kind of in honor of my great grandmother. She passed away when I was very young. But this is a story that was shared by my family, my dad and my uncle. Both kind of shared this one with me. It was about when they were in Sunday school. She was a Sunday school teacher, and she would always do an Easter service. When she got ready to do her Easter classroom, all through the winter, she would have the curtains drawn in the classroom and everything. And part of the Easter lesson, when it became time for Easter and everything, she would open up the curtains and gather all the kids around the window and to look out and see the new life that starts to bloom in the springtime. And that's how she kind of did the resurrection message. And so I kind of wrote a song kind of in honor of her. It's not all necessarily about her, but she does have a large part in the song and what it all represents. But it's also kind of in the setting of kind of going back to a time when you were young, and you're seeing how things have kind of been grown over, have kind of been abandoned and forgotten about, and these things that mean so much to you, you can just kind of see how time has affected that. And it's kind of about those things that are important to you and can kind of be reclaimed by the busyness of life and things like that. And so it's that's kind of more along the lines of what you're going to hear in that recording. And I'll say this for those of you, and I did some things. I know we're kind of getting long here. I did some things last minute, and when I picked it up to warm up, there was this chord that I had changed to, and I thought, hey, that sounds kind of cool. I normally don't do that without having some time to really polish it up and try it out. But I'll say at the end, for those of you that are familiar with this, the chording and everything, the ending, chords go from A minor to C. In the recording, they're going to go A minor to C, A minor to F major 7, then A minor to C and resolve on the C major 7. And ordinarily, the way I've written it originally and practiced it was just all A minor C, A minor C, A minor C, and then I resolve. So I kind of had that F major 7 in there in the middle of all that, and the note was a little shaky, I'm afraid. And a lot of it was just because of the room recording. I'm just kind of standing there with my phone recording it, and I don't know if that's going to make the final cut or not, but I thought that was interesting, so I threw it into the mix. And so anyways, if you don't know anything I just said, I'm sorry to bother you with that last little bit. I just kind of want to share that about it. It was really funny because I know better than to just throw something like that in last minute, but it sounded interesting. I thought, well, what the heck, I'll throw it in there. So anyways, just going to sign off. OTC Piper, wishing everybody all the best, and I'll stay positive, and I hope you enjoy the music. And go check the links out. There's not much there on the pages right now because I'm still in the building process of getting some of the recordings done and getting with a distribution company that I'm talking to, and we'll see kind of where that goes. So anyways, thanks for your attention. Sorry to drag it on so long. We'll see y'all on the next one.
A battered frame, broken window pane, the silent remains after years of sunshine and seasons of rain. There's an old graveyard in the distance for those who have gone before. Laid to rest and Sunday's best, alas, from the cares of this world. looking through the window into the room where I sat in Sunday school, in the midst of a live oak tree, standing sentry in the eyes of memory. Branches reaching high for a touch of sunlight, insolent from days of old. The leaves like springtime are gone, and he cannot shake the cold. Drew the curtain shade with a smile that would warm the cold winter's gloom. Throw back the shade on Easter Sunday to reveal a new life starts to bloom. Its hold, and the sting of